So I'm here today with Mordecai Rosenberg from G2 Lending. How are you?
Great.
We're chatting about all things CREtech innovation, and we had some really interesting insights from your talk today that I want to share with everybody and discuss a little further. So one of my main takeaways was the part of your talk where you really dove into consumer interaction, talking to customers as a technology company to find out what they need, if you built the right thing and for the right purpose. And you grappled a little bit with this notion of potentially not talking to your customers and building for a problem that you've identified in the industry versus, you know, diving full on and having those conversations. So what is your advice for tech companies in terms of iterating on their products?
Yep. What I would say is that I've made the mistake way too many times of thinking that I knew what the customer wanted and then jumping down a very deep rabbit hole trying to solve it.
Right.
And then launching it only to find that it totally missed the mark on meeting that customer need. So if you think you are Steve Jobs or Henry Ford, then God bless. Go and maybe you know better than your customer. But if you want to give yourself the best chance of success, you might as well talk to them and see what their real struggles are.
Yeah.
Right? Now, one thing I would add is for a technology company or a non-technology company, there are really no such things as technology problems. Any problem that a customer has exists in the real world, right? So if I don't have internet access, that's not the problem. The problem is that my GPS isn't connecting and I don't know how to get to my next meeting. Right? So what I like to do is to really delve into what are their daily physical activities, right? Walk me through, if I'm a lender, if I'm talking to a client, walk me through what are you doing to get me documentation? Show me how you fill out an application. Show me how you wire me funds, right? But ultimately, there's physical tasks which are going to be the key to, which are going to need to be solved to become a hero to your customers. So look at what are things that are taking just way too long for the utility, and those are great starting points.
Yeah, and this comes back to just technology being tools in our toolbox as an extension of the functions that we want to accomplish as humans in our day-to-day life.
Exactly.
And so on the real estate team side, in terms of building an internal environment to foster successful, productive innovation initiatives, what would you say to those kind of users of technology?
Sure. So for consumers of the technology who want to be experimenting with processes, right? So I think it's important to, especially for large companies, one of the big challenges to experimentation is that how do you experiment with something without it affecting 500 other people in the company?
Right.
So you have to create these safe like sandboxes where a small team can operate and try out different systems. It could be a better way of messaging within the team. It could be cloud storage. It could be it could be an AI related tool. But figure out how to create the space where they can operate and experiment within that space without kind of toppling everything else. Right? Otherwise, you're going to have way too much resistance from the way things are currently done in terms of why this is a problem. So you have to create that space.
That ecosystem.
The other thing I would do is that in terms of that independence, let this team that's on the ground help to identify the problems because these are people who are on the ground dealing with the customer pain points on a daily basis. Identify what the solution, what they're trying to achieve, but give them ownership over how to achieve it. Right? Don't say you need to do X, Y, and Z because maybe there's a better way.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't have to be technology. Maybe it's just about improving some part of the process.
Right.
Where you could fix it like that without having to invest anything in technology. So just determine the what, but then give them liberty about figuring out how.
I really like that advice. if there was one thing that you were most excited to see mature or develop in the market in the near future, what would it be? I know it's loaded.
What I would say is that, I'm all about teamwork, right? And enabling, my team members to do their best work. And the way I see it, and technology, the best technologies to me are fostering better teamwork. So I'm really excited to see some of the cloud-based solutions that, even stuff like that allow you to collaborate on a document or with messaging. We're using, now we started using Microsoft Teams instead of email for our internal communication. Right? That saved us, it sounds like a small thing, it saved our team hours each week.
That's incredible.
We're using cloud-based storage solutions so that all parties to a transaction, whether or not it's our closing counsel or our sales team or our underwriting team or the customer, we can all access the same document. So there are things that are just smoothing out friction points, making it easier to collaborate, that I'm just, there's as we hit more and more wins on that front, it just enables kind of the genius to emerge.
And we talked about this a little bit in your talk about disruption, but technology really should just be removing friction versus imposing potentially additional layers of details. And so that's really interesting. Those are all interesting use cases and very applicable, I think, to a lot of the people that will watch.
Yeah, it's interesting that I took the subway last week, and now they have the ability to use Apple Pay, right, to pay your subway fare. Right now, before, what did it really save me? Well, it saves me the 20 seconds to get my Metro card out of my pocket, right? But still, it felt like a big deal, right? When the train's coming, I didn't have to think about, where did I put it,
right?
And how much money do I have left, right? So it's something. It doesn't sound like a revolutionary thing, but simply smoothing out one more friction point and making life easier, to me, was like amazing. That's great.
And sometimes it's not just about the time that it saves you, it's about the mental brain space that it takes up in your day.
Exactly, the mental load.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll share just one other technology that I found to be maybe one of the most impactful things, and it will be surprising to people, but it's Waze.
I don't know how surprising that is. I think it's a pretty nifty tool.
but the reason why is because I commute to work, right? And every morning I'd be faced with this dilemma, right? Do I take the Palisades Parkway or do I take Route 4, right? And it's always a gamble, which is going to have more traffic, right? And you always have this mental load on you thinking about, was there a better way? Right? And Waze, what that's really done, right, is it's eliminated that mental load, because I know that wherever I am, and no matter how much traffic I'm sitting in, this was the ideal path to go. Right. So to your point, I think so much is about, it's not just about the time saved, but about the mental load, that kind of the psychic RAM, so to speak.
We only have so much to spend, mentally and of our energy each day. Strategizing, self-discipline, learning, whatever, communicating, whatever it is. And so to spend even a part of that on just your daily commute or paying for the metro or whatever it is, technology can really eliminate a lot of that, and it frees our brain up for potentially so much more, or just ease of doing the daily functions that are necessary.
Exactly. I don't have a lot to spare. You probably have a lot more brain power to spare than I do. So anything that I could use to reserve, some psychic RAM is great.
All right. Well, thanks so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. I think people will find this conversation really interesting.
Great. Thank you,
Until
Mariel.
next time.
Yeah.